I was about to spar. Before I was about to spar Tank, he was sparring this big boy.
A heavyweight.
Heavyweight boy. And Tank hit that nigga. He hit him so hard that he was on the top of the rope just like this.
Oh!
To keep the speed, Gervonta Tank Davis, if he put on the right weight, put the right weight on, and have the lean muscle right, he can look fantastic somewhere in the mid-150s, dare I say, close to 160 against Jake Paul.
While getting ready for his impending fight with Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis apparently drops a heavyweight sparring partner in startling unseen video. In the video, Tank demonstrates his trademark strength and impeccable timing by landing a vicious left punch that abruptly terminates the session. Supporters are describing it as evidence that, even when facing opponents considerably larger than him, Davis's speed and accuracy are unrivaled. Showbiz the adult dismisses accusations that Tank will be too little to compete and believes that Gervonta Davis will weigh about 154 pounds for his battle against Jake Paul. He claims that Davis has walked around at that weight before, so it won't be a new experience. He goes on to say that the jump isn't as extreme as people believe because Tank has training experience at 160 pounds. Showbiz highlights that Davis has honed his timing, reflexes, and counterpunching against heavier strikers through years of sparring with far larger opponents. His explosive ability coupled with that experience, he has a distinct advantage in this duel due to his infighting IQ. Showbiz is certain of his forecast and maintains that once Tank lands clean, Jake Paul's size advantage won't help him, declaring boldly that Gervonta Davis will easily defeat Jake Paul.
150s, dare I say, close to 160 against Jake Paul. And dare I say it, I think that's the right thing for him to do. Why? I've been saying this. Number one, fighters need to start fighting closer to their walk-around weight. They're just healthier that way. They're just better and healthier that way. I mean, I know it's probably surprising them too. Like, that was the best I've seen Terrence Bud Crawford. Lamont Roach, he's fighting Pitbull at 140, coming from 130 and a pit stop at 135. You have Shakur Stevenson talking about fighting Teofimo Lopez. They're very close to making that fight at 140. And I think all of them would look their best there, especially Roach, where he ain't knocking nobody out down there at 130. But I bet you he'll be swatting far more at 140. Gervonta Tank Davis, I think, just like the others, fighting closer to your walk-around weight is just going to be one of the better performances for Gervonta Tank Davis. He's going to learn a lot about his body. He's going to learn a lot about himself and where he should campaign moving forward. Maybe even meeting Roach in that rematch at 140 himself. Also, another reason why I think it behooves him to come in knocking at 160 pounds is because of Jake Paul. It's not like Tank is going to dodge every punch Jake Paul throws, all right? Some of those going to land, and more than likely it's going to land on his guard. Tank is going to have his guard up. We need for him to be solid enough, his foundation and his base solid enough, so when Jake Paul hits him with those shots, he doesn't go flying around the ring.
According to reports, Tank has been training for the Jake Paul fight by sparring with significantly larger opponents. However, this is nothing new to him. Davis has put himself to the test against stronger opponents since the beginning of his career, using those encounters to hone his timing and accuracy. He has never had any trouble dealing with bigger opponents because of his amazing strength and spectacular IQ. Among the most important talking topics, Gervonta Davis is more focused, trimmer, and sharper than ever in the most recent training videos. He possesses a combination of strength and accuracy in every punch that only comes from years of training. Despite having light footwork, he moves with authority. It is evident to anyone observing his preparation that each blow against the bulky bag is a part of a premeditated rhythm. The passion in his eyes and the smooth synchronization of his power and speed are noticeable to onlookers. Davis's seriousness for this fight is evident from the video alone. professionals from the boxing, according to World Point, he appears to be in better health than he has in years and is prepared for battle. Tank's demonstration of timing, power, and ring management during camp has sparked new discussions about how dangerous he still is at the top level. The weight disparity is one of the main topics of discussion before this fight. Some contend that Tank's expertise will outweigh any physical deficit, while others think Jake Paul's inherent size gives him an advantage. Many supporters question whether Davis could find it challenging due to the size difference. However, those who have followed his career are aware that he frequently sparred and faced off against stronger opponents. His supporters argue that timing, discipline, and technical acumen are more important factors in boxing than weight alone. Regardless of stature, Tank is a puzzle due to his defensive technique and counterpunching skills. His squad is still certain that he can use Jake's stature against him because of his background handling pressure and mobility. For Davis, the goal of this fight is to demonstrate skill rather than strength.
It is happening. WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child, Jake Paul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight.
And despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seem set to wear 12-ounce gloves.
And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the result will not be officially recorded on their professional record.
Lamont Roach has expressed his displeasure with Davis in public, citing unsolved problems between the two. His recent comments have sparked debate because observers see a trace of resentment in his voice. They contend that Roach's annoyance is more a result of jealousy over Tank's prosperity and success than it is of actual disagreement. Although there used to be some respect between the two, Roach's remarks now seem to have a personal undertone. Observers believe he finds it difficult to comprehend Davis's kept making headlines and receiving enormous salaries while others stayed in the shadows. According to boxing experts, rivalries turn heated when money and fame are involved. However, Davis doesn't appear to care about these diversions. He allows his training to speak for him by remaining silent and concentrated.
Rip, the question is direct. Reportedly, Tank's going to make $40 million around there to fight Jake Paul. Would you do the same thing if you were in the situation? And he's like, actually, this is what I explained before. You're beating around the bush. It's really a yes or no. I would do it. I would take the 40 mil, or I wouldn't take the 40 mil. But let's listen to this long, drawn-out explanation.
There's about $40 million that he's going to get paid. If you were in his shoes, wouldn't you do the same thing?
See, now, this is something that I explain and express, and I hope everybody gets. That opportunity is an opportunity that you probably cannot pass up. But it's about how you handle it. It's about how you go about it. A lot of people don't know that he actually exercised his rights to the rematch, so that contractually binds us to a fight. You cannot breach that unless you do what you have to do to handle the business, to be like, okay, well, we mutually agree to let you move on and or swindle around and fight Jake Paul for this money. If you think I'm going to sit back by the wayside and sit there and be like, well, even though I'm contracted to fight this guy for this amount of money on this certain day, I'm just going to sit here and be cool with, oh, he might not ever fight me, or and he's gonna go fight and get paid and get this money, and I'm not supposed to get anything.
Experts in boxing have stated again and time again that Davis isn't given enough credit for his achievements. They contend that his opponents frequently become more well-known after facing him, demonstrating the extent of his influence in the sport. Just by sharing the ring with him, fighters who were previously unknown get international recognition. This pattern demonstrates Davis's star power and his capacity to uplift everyone he encounters. Those who argue that he hasn't engaged in fierce enough rivalry are reminded that a career can be made or broken by his appearance alone. According to analysts, his triumphs not only establish him as a knockout fighter, but also as a person who bears the burden of the boxing world.
Ongoing discussion in the boxing world about Gervonta Davis and Gervonta Davis, his resume, who he's going to fight, the competitors that he's going to fight. And every once in a while, something happens that proves that Gervonta Davis is the face of that. If he's not the face of boxing because people just don't want him to be that, man, he is real close to it, because other than Canelo Alvarez, and even consider Canelo Alvarez included, nobody in boxing has divisions circulating around him like Gervonta Davis does. And that was proved during this Lamont Roach versus Pitbull Cruz announcement for their pay-per-view. Just think about this. Gervonta Davis, they always say that Gervonta Davis has a poor resume, but yet Gervonta Davis, guys that fight Gervonta Davis, lose to Gervonta Davis, or get a draw to Gervonta Davis, can fight one another and make an anticipated pay-per-view between the two of them, because that fight with Pitbull Cruz is a very, very popular fighter with Mexican fight fans. Lamont Roach got a lot of name exposure with black fight fans and Mexican fight fans and white fight fans, all with his draw that he got against Gervonta Davis. Now they believe that this is going to be able to be a profitable endeavor for a pay-per-view. Now let me also tell you that Rolly Romero, who was somebody else that Gervonta Davis fought in the past, will be on a pay-per-view that's going to be successful, most likely, when he defends his WBC.
In order to protect Davis from the persistent claims that he is battling purely for financial gain, Stephen Fulton came out. After years of putting their bodies and health at danger in the ring, Fulton stressed that every boxer has the right to safeguard their future. Tank has already attained greatness, he clarified, winning world titles and putting on unforgettable performances. Thus, it is entirely legitimate to engage in high-profile combat at this time. Fulton contends that athletes should have a balance between legacy and financial stability, particularly since their careers may end at any time. His remarks served as a reminder to supporters that Tank already has the right to select bouts that advance his career and personal interests. The notion that Davis makes wise decisions rather than rash ones was strengthened by the endorsement of another well-known boxer, such as Fulton.
Anybody in that position would have taken that fight, especially the payout. It's like, that's a no-brainer, but I understand. I still feel for Lamont. That's my boy. Like, he still want his rematch. But then when you be realistic about the money situation, you're changing your whole family life. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's people hate on it because they're not in that position. I'm not saying Lamont. I'm speaking like other boxers. You're like, oh, he this for that. He's this. It's a side quest. It's a little side quest. Because what happened when Floyd and all these guys went on WWE, but then they get right back to what they doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's another little side quest. I'm all for people just getting their money. So get the best, make the most that you can out of this entertainment world. Because, I mean, I don't know. I would have done it as far as the money aspect, because none of us would deny that money. They talking like they would. None of them would deny that money.
Luke Thomas took a different perspective on the matter. He noted that something felt different this time, even if he lauded Davis's technical accuracy and knockout power. In interviews and public appearances, Tank lacked the ferocity that he typically displays prior to a major battle. It appeared to Thomas that Davis was emotionally unchallenged by this fight, as he appeared composed to the point of indifference. It seemed to Luke that Tank saw the game less as a test of his skills and more as a profit opportunity. He hypothesized that Tank might have been drawn to Jake Paul's buzz rather than the actual competition. However, Thomas acknowledged that Davis's skill and experience gave him an advantage, so even a little lack of motivation may be deadly. Few people are able to catch it.
So in that sense, it's a little bit different. It's not this. It's not different in the sense of a boxer in his prime or relative prime straying off the path, but this one is not. It's not like someone else, in a similar weight. It's like completely the opposite, and so that makes it, I think, look and feel weird. And then on top of it, obviously, Gervonta's got other business to handle. He looked to me, Gervonta, absolutely, completely disinterested. Even at the beginning of this year, and dude, even at the pre-fight Lamont Roach stuff, Tank was talking about how much time he has left in boxing, which he was critical isn't much. The Lamont Roach fight, it blew up in his face, but Lamont Roach was cherry-picked. I think Tank thought, I'll just fight another guy from, the mid-Atlantic area who's, remember Roach came up from 30 to 35 to fight him, and Tank thought he was just going to cruise, and then it blew up in his face, and, you're left with that. So, you're making a point about, he's got this obligation. That's true, but he was already fucking around. He was already taking opponents that, again, I think Roach showed everyone that was a mistake, but put yourself in Tank's mind. Tank was taking a fight against someone he was clearly, in his mind anyway, better than, and was just going to cruise. So he was already in that state. Then you marry that with statements like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this, and blah, blah, blah. And, I'm worried about going to therapy because it'll take away my competitive edge. And
while some view this fight as a means of generating revenue, others see it as Gervonta Davis's personal statement. He's not just entering the ring to get attention. He's taking over to remind everyone that true fighters can rule any arena, be it the boxing ring or the limelight on social media. Winning this fight would demonstrate that talent and discipline are still more important than online popularity, in addition to solidifying his legacy in the sport. Davis is aware that both casual Jake Paul fans and boxing purists are among the viewers. He sees this fight as a chance to return the attention to genuine competitiveness. If he wins outright, it would send a powerful message that true skill still triumphs over fake celebrity.
In this particular in the press conference, and you can just look at him and tell, no, this dude he's gonna get this money for sure, because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games, don't hit him in the back of the head, don't rabbit punch him, don't do any of that stuff, man, because Mike Tyson, first of all, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not going to have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining. That it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, when you see a car crash. Like, you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I gotta say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this turn.
Charleston White has never been one to mince words, and he was rather explicit about his feelings about Jake Paul. According to him, Jake's career is more about amusement than athletics. Charleston thinks it will be clear how Jake differs from an influencer and a trained champion if he takes on someone like Gervonta Davis. He claimed that Jake's lack of true boxing depth will be revealed by Tank's timing, reflexes, and years of experience taking on elite opponents. White asserts that while fame can draw attention, it cannot take the place of experience. He maintains that tough competition, not exhibition bouts or viral social media posts, is how real boxing legends are created. His frank opinion is in line with what many die-hard supporters already believe, that Davis's skill set is superior to Jake's. Additionally, after they meet,
Davis and Jake Paul fight, And what he said was, look, man, do not pick against Jake Paul, because he didn't believe that any of the fights that Jake Paul have had to date really have been a real thing. And that the boxing world is looking for that great WHITE hype. And Jake Paul is going to be that guy, even though he really can't do it in a real boxing match. So he was basically reflecting and saying that he, you know, the saying where they say, believe a half of what you hear, half of what you see, and none of what you hear. He adjusted it to say, don't believe anything you hear and anything you say, anything that you hear and anything that you see. And honestly, man, when it comes to internet boxing, YouTube boxing, and what people say is going on in the media, without a doubt, I think Charleston White is 100% right about that. Don't believe anything you hear. Don't believe anything you see. Wait to see how things play out, and ultimately everything will come out in the wash. Well, going into this fight with Gervonta Davis, I had my concerns about the fight because of he's the same type of reasoning that Charleston White used, except for mine is slightly different. I don't think that either one of these guys are going to try to do too much damage to each other. Number one, because if it's scripted, which more than likely to an extent it will be, Gervonta Davis is not going to put himself in a situation where Jake Paul is going to actually be able to hurt him.
There will be no denying that fact. That concludes the video for today. Keep an eye out. Till the next occasion.